Okay, so we'll start this morning on the back. So when you come onto your back, I know we've got a couple new people this morning, so you just want to make sure when you're on your back doing any of this work with me, you want to make sure that your head feels really comfortable and that your neck and shoulders feel comfortable. So that's the purpose of having a little something underneath your head. Some people feel really comfortable having your head just flat down on the mat and doing all of their work without any prop underneath their head at all, and that's great. So remember that that's always an option. So the little bit of head prop or a lot of head prop, depending on what you feel like you need, is just so that when you get your head down, that you can just really relax the neck, the shoulders, the chest, and the arms, and that you don't feel any tension there. Okay, so do whatever you need to do to get comfortable in this position. And then once you're comfortable, you're gonna take your feet nice and wide, so wider than your hips. Let your arms just rest out to the side and windshield wiper those legs side to side. So I'll call these windshield wipers, just letting those legs swish side to side. And you can make these small and gradually make them bigger, just making them as big and fluid as it feels comfortable this morning. This is going to get some nice movement through your hip joints and your spine, right? Starting to get some back movement, a little stretch through the waistline maybe. Go for one or two more each direction. And then when you feel even, you'll bring your knees back to the center. And let's walk those feet and knees a little bit closer together. So about sit bone distance together, which is about a large fist or grapefruit. Okay, so you kind of think about having a large fist or grapefruit between your feet and your knees, and then feet nice and flat, arms just relaxed. Okay, from here, we're going to try to stabilize the pelvis and the low back in a neutral position. And neutral just means that you've got your shoulders and your upper back nice and heavy. You've got a natural little space in between your low back and the mat. And then you've got your hips nice and heavy. Okay, so you're going to keep those natural curves in your spine as you open your right leg out to the side, and then bring it back to the center, and then open your left leg out to the side. So our goal is that we open and move just the leg, that we're not moving anything else. So we're stabilizing the pelvis and the low back and the torso. So you're going to exhale to open the knee, inhale back to center, exhale to open the left knee. And if you're feeling any back tension while you're doing this, try using your abdominals to gently press your low back down toward the mat a little more, into a little bit of an imprint position. Sometimes that helps. Let's go one more time each direction. Just getting those legs, those hips warmed up, and the core muscles warmed up. Okay, from here, we're going to do kind of like a butterfly. You're going to let both legs open out to the side and then pull those knees back together. So letting the knees open away from each other and then pull them back together. A little stretch for the inner thighs here. Again, try to stabilize your low back in a neutral position if you can this morning. Let's go for two more. One more time. And then bring that back to the center. All right, take your feet a little bit wider again and see if it's comfortable to allow your knees just to knock together. Let them just rest together here. Okay, and if that's not comfortable for some reason, you can just keep your feet and your knees separated. Okay, so find a position that feels comfortable here, maybe letting your knees knock together. And then we're going to work on opening up those shoulders a little bit. So you're going to inhale as you start to reach your hands up toward the ceiling and overhead, just as far as it feels comfortable. And then on your exhale, float those arms back down to the mat. So your range of motion might be a lot smaller than mine or a lot bigger than mine. Okay, so just go to what feels comfortable here. I'm just seeing how far we can open up those shoulder joints as we reach overhead. See if you can keep those ribs gently pulling down toward the floor as you're reaching the arms overhead. Let's go for two more. Good, you guys, one more time. Inhale to reach. And then bring your fingertips just straight up to the ceiling. You're going to rotate the palms to face each other. And then on your inhale, open the arms out toward a T and then pull them back up toward the ceiling. So again, you're only opening as far as it feels comfortable. It's okay if your range of motion is a lot smaller or bigger than mine. Make sure that you're not getting any tension in the neck or the shoulders. Let's go for three more of these. Inhaling to open into that stretch. Exhaling back to the center. One more time. All right, you guys, float those arms all the way down to the mat. You're gonna bring those feet and knees, again, about a fist, large fist distance or grapefruit distance apart. Okay, so we're just bringing them a little bit closer together. We're gonna get into a little deeper abdominal and core work here. Okay, so go back to thinking about keeping your pelvis and your low back and your rib cage nice and steady. You're gonna bring that right leg up to a tabletop position, 90-degree angles in your knee, in your hip joint. Okay, so from here, we're going to inhale, reach the leg up toward the ceiling, flex the foot on your exhale, and lower that straight leg down toward the floor. Inhale to point, lift the leg, exhale to flex and lower. Point to lift and flex to lower, just adding a little bit of choreography and ankle movement here. Trying to keep that leg as straight as possible. It's okay if it needs to bend a little bit as you come up. You're just working on keeping it as straight as you comfortably can. By now, your leg's probably starting to feel a little heavy. Let's do one more. Inhale, point, lift. Exhale, flex, lower the leg. And then bend your knee and hug it in toward your chest. Just give it a little squeeze. Let your low back have a little bit of stretch here. And then place that right foot back down and lift your left leg up to tabletop. All right, so 90-degree angle in your knee and your hip joints. You're going to try to keep the weight even through the back of the hips, left or right. Stay neutral on your inhale. Point your foot, lift your leg up toward the ceiling. On your exhale, flex the foot and lower the leg down. Inhale, point, lift. Exhale, flex, lower. Single leg, lift and lower here. Trying to keep that leg as straight as possible so that we're working those muscles on the top of the thigh. Inhale, point, lift. Exhale, flex, lower. We're also getting some good abdominal and core work here, stabilizing your back in neutral. Last time. And then you're going to bend that knee into the chest, give it a nice squeeze, let your low back round down toward the floor, get a little stretch. And then you're going to place that leg back down. All right, we're going to go back to right leg up at tabletop. Okay, so for this time, we're going to bend and straighten the leg. So you're going to inhale to straighten the leg, exhale to bend the knee back in. You can keep your foot pointed on these. Inhale to straighten the leg, exhale to bend the leg. Notice that the lower you straighten that leg, the harder it is for your core muscles, your abdominal muscles to stabilize you here. Right, so you only want to lower that leg as you're straightening it as much as you feel like you can stabilize. So maybe as you straighten, you're straightening it much higher. Maybe that feels more stable and stronger for you. Okay, so just play around with that range of motion. We're going to go for 2 more here. And then you're going to place that foot down, lift your left leg back up to tabletop. Inhale to straighten the leg, exhale to bend. So a single leg stretch here. Stretching one leg out nice and straight, and then bringing it back in. Check in with your neck and shoulders. See if you can relax your neck and shoulders. Just in case they're trying to help, tell them they can relax. Focus on the leg movement and the nice stability work through your core. Inhale to straighten, exhale to bend. Last time. You're going to lead that left leg up to tabletop. Okay, bring your right leg up to tabletop. So now we got both legs up at a tabletop position. Suddenly it's much, much harder to stabilize here, right? We're going to flex the feet. On your exhale, tap your right heel toward the floor. Inhale to pick it back up. Exhale to tap your left heel toward the floor. Inhale to pick it up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. You can keep your arms long by your side. It'll give you a little bit of support. You can also do what I'm doing, just putting my hands on top of my hip bones to remind me to keep everything really still through my torso. Don't let the back pop away from the mat. It's okay if your heel doesn't go all the way down to the floor. All right, hug those knees in for a second. Give your back and your abs a little break. You can go wide with your knees or together. You can do a little rock side to side. All right, good work, you guys. Let's do one more set here, okay? So remember, we're trying to move the legs, but stabilize the torso. So keep your range of motion through your legs small enough that you feel nice and stable. Last set, we're gonna do a little single leg stretch, okay? So you're gonna keep your arms long by your side. You're gonna stretch your right leg out and then stretch your left leg out. So this is like what we were doing earlier, but we were only doing one leg at a time. Now we're getting both those legs going at the same time, which makes it much more challenging. Higher, if you reach those legs higher, that's gonna make it a little bit easier for you to stabilize your low back. So keep those legs as high as you need to, or reach them out as low as you want to for a little additional challenge. Inhale one leg, exhale the other. Try to relax your neck and shoulders. Let's go for one more set. And then you're gonna pull those knees in, give them a little rock, squeeze side to side. Just in case your neck and shoulders were trying to help, let's keep those knees pulled in and just rock the head side to side. Just a little easy neck movement here. Release any tension you might have collected. All right, bring your head back to the center. You're gonna hold onto the backs of those thighs, flex your feet, reach your legs up until you feel a nice stretch through the backs of the legs, and then relax the feet and bend the knees. Inhale to flex and reach up for a stretch, and then exhale to relax. And you may or may not get your legs all the way straight in this position. It doesn't matter. You're just reaching up until you feel a nice stretch, and then you're relaxing away from it. Stretching should never cause you to furrow your brow too much or make anything else in your body tense. You don't ever want to overstretch. Just go to where it feels like a nice, good stretch, and then move out away from it. Do two more. All right, place those feet back down. You're gonna stretch your legs all the way out to the floor, okay? Let your legs be nice and heavy and just turn them in and out a few times. Super easy movement through those hip joints. Maybe even try stretching your arms overhead if that feels okay on your neck and shoulders. Just take a big stretch. And then float your arms back down, bend those knees again. All right, we're gonna do some hip extension work, some bridging. So we're gonna move our head props off to the side, okay? So if you had a little something underneath your head as a prop, you're gonna scoot it off to the side because we're gonna be lifting our hips up, and we want our heads to start nice and low for that so that we don't put any tension on our necks, okay? So you're gonna bring your feet all the way together so that you can kind of touch those first toe knuckles together, okay? And that'll help you line your feet up. And then you're gonna walk your feet away from each other to that sit bone distance apart. You can also lift your head and peek at your knees and make sure that your knees look even and level. That'll help you know that your feet are in the correct spot, okay? So once you feel like you've got yourself nice and lined up, you're gonna press your arms gently into the mat, take an inhale. And then on your exhale, you're gonna use your abs to push the low back down into the mat, squeeze the glute muscles, and peel the spine off the mat, one vertebra at a time if you can comfortably. You want to make sure that the top of your bridge, that you're resting on your shoulder blades, not your neck, right? Keep your neck easy and light here. Take an inhale, and then on your exhale, soften your chest and roll the spine back down to the mat. Inhale as you hit that neutral position, exhale to roll back up. So we're trying to roll through the spine, rounding the spine as you come up and down, moving through those spinal joints. If that feels comfortable for you this morning, let's keep doing that. If for any reason your back doesn't like the way that feels, you can simply go with a flat back. I'll demonstrate those a few times. So on those, you'll just squeeze your glutes and lift straight up, keeping your spine really long and your back flat. And then you'll lower back down. And then you'll squeeze your glutes and lift back up. A nice flat back and lower back down. Okay, so whether you're rolling up or flat backing up, let's go up and down 3 more times. Inhaling at the bottom, exhaling to squeeze the glutes and lift the hips. Inhale at the top, exhale to lower back down. We got 2 more. See if you can really focus on pushing evenly into your feet left to right. Press just as much into the balls of the feet as you are the heels. Try to keep your neck easy. You're going to stay up on this last one. All right, so we're going to keep those hips high and level. All right, from here, we're going to lift those arms up, straight up to the ceiling, and then float them back down. So we're inhaling to lift and exhaling to lower. So we're just doing a little bit of endurance work here, seeing how long we can keep those hips lifted. Try to tuck your tailbone under, connect those ribs in the front. Let's go for 2 more here. Press evenly into your feet. Last time. And then you're going to push those arms down into the mat. Take an inhale, and on your exhale, lower your spine and your hips all the way down to the mat. Woo, good work. Okay, so you can take that head prop back underneath your head if you were using it earlier and it feels good. And we'll just do one more quick hamstring stretch. Okay, because that works the backs of those legs too, not just your glutes. So you can reach up and then hold a nice stretch and just gently flex and point your feet. Again, you may or may not have your legs straight here. Just hold what feels like a comfortable stretch as you point and flex those feet. All right, hug those knees into your chest one more time. Yeah, good, you guys. And then place your feet down. Okay, so we're gonna roll onto our sides. All right, so we're gonna do some side plank work. So in order to make sure that your head and your neck and your shoulders are comfortable here, you may have to play around with how much prop you have underneath your head in the various parts of this exercise. For the first one, we're gonna do some rotation and we'll be rolling onto the backs of our heads. So your head prop can start relatively low, just like it was when we were laying on our backs, because we're gonna move through that position. All right, so you're gonna take an inhale, reach forward. We're gonna bend the arm, trace it across your body. You're gonna open out to the side, keeping your head heavy. Take a big inhale and stretch those hands away from each other, and then rebend your arm and retrace your steps. So reaching forward, bending and opening. Make sure that your rib cage and your head are rotating, following, watching what your reaching hand is doing. You don't want to let that arm hang too low. Now, if for any reason this does not feel good through your shoulders or your neck, you're just going to try a smaller range of motion. Maybe try keeping your forehead, your hand at your forehead, and just keeping your hand connected to your forehead and reaching with a bent elbow. And that might feel better. Okay, so let's do one more here, whichever version you want to do. Take a big breath and then bring that arm all the way back over. All right, nice job. Okay, now we're going to work our hips. Okay, so we want to have a little bit more support for our neck and shoulders here. So you can get as much fold or lift or add an extra head prop, whatever you feel like you need to do so that you can let your head rest and your shoulders can stay stacked with no tension on that bottom shoulder particularly. All right, you're gonna kick those heels back in line with your bum, right? So if they were pulled in, that was fine before, but now we wanna kick the heels back in line with the bum. And then you wanna get a little lift of that waist away from the floor, okay? So that you're not just relaxed down on the mat anymore. All right, so from here, we're gonna do a little clamshell, keeping those feet glued together. We're gonna open and close that top knee. So we're working the hip muscles and we're working our core muscles and our abdominal muscles to keep our torso stable while we work our hip muscles. So you're getting lots of good work in one nice exercise. Good, you guys. Try exhaling on the way up, inhaling to lower, exhaling to lift, inhaling to lower. Good. See if you can keep that head nice and heavy. We're adding a few on today. All right, from here, you're gonna lift that top leg, okay? You're gonna tap your knee to your knee, and then you're gonna tap your heel to your heel. Inhale, knee to knee, exhale, heel to heel. Inhale, knee to knee, exhale, heel to heel. These bigger movements, right? We're getting a bigger movement from that top leg now. Makes it harder to stabilize. Just check in, so you can keep your torso and your pelvis pretty stable while you're moving that top leg, which is getting heavy. You guys are doing great. Inhale, knee to knee. Exhale, heel to heel. We got 2 more. Woo, last one. All right, straighten that top leg out. Flex your foot, okay? So you want to really think about reaching that leg out super long. Keep it really long, nice activation from that thigh. You're going to kick the leg forward. And then on your exhale, point the foot and pull that thigh behind you. Inhale, flex, kick. Exhale, point, pull. Good. Flex, kick, and point, pull. And again, as we continue making these movements larger with our leg, it continues getting more challenging to stabilize. Okay, so you can have a couple fingers down on the floor in front of you. to help with your balance. You can also make your range of motion a little smaller with your leg movement because we don't want the whole torso to be rolling around. We want to just be moving that leg. Inhale, flex, reach. Exhale, point, pull. Go for 2 more. Squeeze the glute, back of the thigh pulls that leg back. All right, last set. You're gonna inhale, lift the leg up. Exhale, flex the foot and lower down. Inhale, point, lift. Exhale, flex, lower. So we're trying to keep that thigh pulled back a little bit. And we're trying to keep that hip joint open in the front. Nice parallel leg, toes and knees pointing forward. Inhale, point, lift. Exhale, flex, lower. Can you keep that little lift of your waist while you're lifting that leg? Last 2. Last one. All right, bend that knee. You can let it rest in front of you if it feels good. And keep that hip a little pound. Good work. All right, so you're gonna do the whole shebang on the other side. All right, so you're just gonna slowly push yourselves up. Take your head props with you, and we're gonna circle around to the other side. And remember, we're gonna start with those rotations, okay? So we're gonna start rotating in telescope arms or a bent arm, and you want your head prop to be a little bit lower for these, okay? So your knees can just be bent in as deep as it feels comfortable. Let your body relax down to the mat for this first set. You're just gonna reach forward on your inhale, and on your exhale, bend that arm, trail it across your body, reach it out to the other side, take a big breath, and then rebend that arm and retrace your step. Okay, so just like on the other side, if for some reason this version of the rotation and movement doesn't feel good on your neck or your shoulders, you can always try keeping your top hand just at your forehead with your elbow bent and just opening and closing. Okay, so let's do 2 more. Whichever version is feeling good. You can always make your range of motion much smaller if that helps. Go for 1 more. There's a lot of big stretch through the spine, the chest, the shoulder. Okay, so we're gonna do some work for that top hip. So we wanna get a little bit more head support or a lot more, whatever you need, okay? So you just wanna make sure that you can keep your head nice and heavy, supported, bottom shoulder happy. So on this side for me, it feels a little bit better to have my bottom arm straight. On the other side, my arm liked to be bent. Okay, so you can play around with which one of those positions feels good for you. Just make sure that that bottom elbow or that bottom shoulder feels comfortable. And then you're gonna keep the knees and the feet stacked with your bum, your heels reaching back in line with your bum. Okay, so a little lift of the waist, and we're ready for clamshells. We're keeping those feet together as we open and close that top knee. And a lot of times one side feels harder than the other. Maybe your range of motion is different one side. And that's totally normal. This is my harder side. So my range of motion is a little bit different on this side. But I'm still getting that good hip work. Still trying to stabilize the torso. Not trying to force anything, right? Just letting my movement feel as easy and fluid as possible. And open. Good, try to keep those ribs gently connected in the front. Last 2. Last 1. All right, so we're gonna lift that top leg up. We're gonna tap our knee to our knee and then heel to heel. Inhale, knee to knee. Exhale, heel to heel. Good, and again, we're starting to make this movement through our leg bigger, which makes it harder to stabilize that torso again. So think about that little lift of your waist, that little connection of the rib cage. Check in with your neck and shoulders. Can you keep your head a little heavier, a little bit more relaxed? Inhale, knee to knee. Exhale, heel to heel. Last 2. Good, last 1. All right, stretch that leg out. Flex your foot. Really reach through your heel and try to make that leg a little longer, right? Reaching it away from you. Still a little connection of those ribs. You're gonna flex and kick the foot forward. And then point the foot and pull that thigh back. Inhale, flex, kick. Exhale, point, pull. Inhale, flex, kick. Exhale, point, pull. And again, because we're really trying to focus on keeping the rib cage and the pelvis stable, your range of motion forward and back might need to be a little bit smaller. Maybe you can make it a little bit bigger on this side. Just play around with what feels comfortable and strong and stable. Put a couple fingers down, remember, on the floor if you need a little bit of help and support with your balance. Good, you guys, last one. All right, you're gonna hold that leg back. Inhale as you lift the leg up. Exhale, flex the foot and lower that leg down. See if you can reach that leg out away from you. Trying to make your leg longer as you lift it up, keeping it long as you float it down. Inhale, point, lift. Exhale, flex, lower. Inhale, point, lift. Exhale, flex, lower. Trying to pull that thigh back a little bit. Squeeze your glutes. Pull those ribs together. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Last two. Good, last one. All right, let that leg rest. Give your hip a little pound. Good work. Okay, you guys, push yourselves up. And you're gonna slowly make your way up to all fours. So we've been down on the mat for a little bit. So let your blood flow recirculate. Take your time, clear your head prop off to the side. If you don't want it underneath your knees, you're welcome to put it underneath your knees if you want a little extra padding for your knees, okay? So you can always just stick it right underneath those knees and use it as a little cushion under your knees if that feels good for any reason. Otherwise, you just put it off to the side. And you're gonna make your way into all fours, okay? So you want your hands to be underneath your shoulders, just a little bit wider than your shoulders, and your knees right underneath those hips, okay? So once you get to that nice all fours position, we're just gonna take a couple breaths here, right? So gravity is pulling everything down toward the floor, so we've got a little bit of work to keep everything pushing away from the floor here. Again, you wanna keep your spine nice and long. So we don't want to be rounding. We also don't want to be arching. You want to try to find that nice, just long position of your spine with those natural curves in your spine. And then after you've taken a couple breaths, you're just feeling what needs to work to hold you here. We're going to start rocking forward and back gently, keeping the spine long. So on this set, we're going to see only how far we can rock forward and back without letting our spine change shape. All right, so trying to keep that chest open as you go forward and your tail feathers reaching out behind you as you rock back. Let's go for a couple more. You want to stretch your toes out while you're doing this. You can tuck your toes under and then I'll stretch your toes in your feet. Might feel nice if you are prone to having your feet cramp on you here. Do one more. Okay, and then you come back to all fours. Weight over your hands and your knees. Okay, we'll do a little cat-cow from here. Take an inhale, and on your exhale, round your spine up toward the ceiling, scooping up the belly, rounding as much as you comfortably can. And then on your inhale, stick your bum out, lift and open your chest. Remember, you want to push the floor away here. This is a really active position. Exhale to scoop up the abdominals, round the spine up toward the ceiling. Inhale to extend tail to head. Exhale to flex. And inhale to extend tail to head. All right, let's go for two more. Just getting as much movement through the spine as you comfortably can here. One more time. And then bring that back to neutral, just nice long spine. We're gonna take those hands forward, about a handprint. Okay, and then we're going to start shifting our body weight forward and back again. We're going to add flexion and extension of the spine. Okay, so kind of like cat cow and body weight shift at the same time. So you're shifting back, almost like you're doing a child's pose, and the back's just naturally going to round a little bit. And then on your inhale, you're going to shift forward and press away from the floor into extension of the spine. Exhale to press back, and inhale to shift forward. Okay, so I'm going in a pretty big range of motion because that feels comfortable for my knees and my hips and my back and my shoulders and my wrists this morning. Your range of motion can absolutely be much, much smaller. Just shift forward and back as much as you feel comfortable this morning. Go for a couple more each direction. One more time, inhale forward. Exhale to press back. And then if it feels good, see if you can find a rest position here. Okay, you can take your knees nice and wide. Make a little pillow for your forehead with your hands or your fists, or you can let your arms round down toward the floor if your forehead can comfortably reach the mat. Wherever is comfortable for you to rest, take 2 more slow breaths through the back side of the body. Nice, you guys. All right, we're gonna come back up to all fours one more time, okay? So from this position, we're gonna work on our balance, all right? So you want your hands to be underneath your shoulders again, knees underneath your hips, okay? Keep the belly pulled up away from the floor and the chest open. Think of that collarbone staying really wide here, okay? So you're gonna reach your right arm forward, and then you're gonna reach your left leg back. Ideally, like we're gonna be working toward hand being lifted up away from the floor and foot being lifted up away from the floor for balance. You can always keep either your toes down, or you can lift your toes, keep your fingers down, or you can keep toes and fingers down, okay? So find what challenge in balance works for you. And if you've been holding your arms and legs up here while I'm talking, you're probably getting tired by now. So let's bring that right arm and that left leg back in, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna hold and breathe, okay? So you're gonna reach the left hand forward, right leg back. Try lifting either the foot or the leg up, or the foot or the hand up, or do both at the same time. Push the floor away, keep the belly lifted, the chest open. Take one more big full breath here. And then bring the hand and knee back in. Okay, so let's come off of our hands for a second. Give our wrists a little break, our shoulders a little break, and kind of shake them out a little bit. We're gonna go back to that in just a minute, but we're gonna do a little bit of stretch here first. So you're gonna take your hands either right to the side of your legs or a little behind, okay? I'm gonna give you the front view here. So if you go to the side, that's gonna be kind of a neutral position for your shoulder and your chest. If you go behind your thighs a little bit, that's gonna open up that joint a little bit more. So go to what feels comfortable, like a comfortable stretch. And then you're gonna hold the chest open and the ribs connected. Inhale, look to the right. Exhale, center. Inhale, look to the left. So we're just getting a little chest expansion here, stretching the muscles that run through the side of the neck, down toward the collarbone in the chest. Inhale to the right, exhale, center, and inhale to the left. Let's do one more, each direction. Keeping that collarbone wide. Good. And then you're gonna relax those arms. We're gonna take a nice big inhale as you reach up and over, side bending over to the right, and then exhale to stack the spine back up. Inhale to reach up and over to the left. Yeah, good. Just reaching that top arm as much as it feels comfortable to add stretch as you inhale, right? That inhale is going to help you expand that top side for extra stretch. Let's go one more time each direction. Inhale, reach to the right. Use that side of the waist to help pull you back up. And then inhale, reach to the left. And that waist will pull you back up. All right, let's go back to our all fours for one more good balance set here. So in this weight bearing position through our wrists and our shoulders and our spine, we're getting some really good strengthening work, but I know that that can be hard sometimes on the wrist. So a modification you can do for the wrist here is you can always come to the front edge of your mat and put just the heel of the hand down on the mat and let your knuckles and fingers be down on the floor, and that decreases the extension of the wrist joint, and sometimes that feels a little bit more comfortable. Okay, so you can always try that if your wrists are getting tired here. This is our last set here, all right? So you want to get your spine nice and long. Take an inhale, prepare, and on your exhale, you're going to reach your right arm forward and your left leg back at the same time. Inhale to bring it back in, and exhale to switch. Now, if lifting the hand and the foot off the floor feels too hard, you're just going to do a slide and slide the hand and the foot out, but keep them down on the floor. I'm demonstrating that right now. Exhale to reach, inhale to bring it back in, exhale to reach, okay? Or you can lift. Inhale to bring it all home, exhale to reach and lift. Keep the back of the neck nice and long, the head lifted away from the floor, chest open. Let's go for one more time. Good, you guys, and then bring it back in. Tuck those toes, reach back for a little stretch. You can round your spine a little bit here if it feels good. Okay, from here, we're gonna make our way down onto our stomachs, okay? So just as a reminder, and for those of you who are new, if you need a little, when we come down onto the stomach, if you need a little support for your chest or your low back, you can always use your small pillow or a little towel folded up underneath your stomach, okay? So it'll go underneath your stomach so that your chest is off and has a little bit more space, and your pubic bone is down on the floor, okay, to give you a little support here. So you can do this whole series like this if you want, or you can just take your prop off to the side if you don't feel like you need that support, and you're just gonna come straight down to the mat, okay? We're gonna make a little pillow for our forehead, or you can do that with your hands, or you can do that with your fists stacked, okay? Whichever one feels comfortable for you this morning. Just want your head to be nice and heavy. Reach those legs out nice and long. And you're gonna try to keep the legs parallel here. So knees and tops of the feet down on the mat. Take an inhale. And on your exhale, you're gonna lift that right thigh off the floor a little bit. Inhale to lower it down, and exhale to switch, lifting the left thigh. So you might be lifting a ½ inch, you might be lifting a couple inches. Your goal is that you're keeping your torso and your pelvis really stable. So think about the weight you feel on your hip bones here. Can you keep your hip bones evenly weighted down on the floor? Keep it going nice and heavy. Keeping that leg really straight. Go for one more time each side. And then you can let your forehead rest down to the floor or your cheek down to the floor on one side. Bend your knees and sway those legs side to side a few times. Good. All right, and add on to that, okay? So we're gonna pick up the pace a little bit. So you can continue to do that version, okay, that we just did, where you're going nice and slow, lifting one and then the other. Or if it feels like a comfortable challenge, we're gonna try moving those legs a little faster and doing a little swimming, okay? So again, you're gonna keep your head heavy, okay? So you can stack your fists here for your forehead, or you can keep your hands stacked, whatever feels comfortable. You're gonna keep your head heavy. You're gonna try lifting both legs, and then you're gonna do little scissor kicks, like you're swimming with those legs, reaching out super long. Try inhaling for a couple kicks and exhaling for a couple kicks. If this doesn't feel good, if this just feels like tension through your back or somewhere else, you're just gonna go back to those slow one leg lift at a time that we just finished. Whichever version you're doing, you're gonna go for 2 more inhales and exhales. And then float those legs down, okay? You can either just let your body rest and take a couple deep breaths, or you can bend your knees, flex your feet, do some circles with your feet, or sway those legs side to side. All right, good work. Okay, so you can take those legs out a little bit wider, and you can also turn your legs out a little bit if that feels more comfortable on your legs and your feet. Sometimes if your feet were cramping, try taking your legs a little wider and turning them out and see if that feels a little bit better. We're gonna bring our hands into a cactus or goalpost position, right? So with your nose hovering off the floor, you just wanna be able to look left and right and peek at those hands, and they're about eye level. Okay, they can be a little higher or lower depending on what feels comfortable for your shoulders. You're gonna try to keep those elbows down as you lift the upper body a little bit, taking an inhale into that extension, and then exhaling to lower back down. Inhaling to lift up, trying to really lift and work the shoulders and the upper back. Exhale to lower. Maybe you can try pushing that pubic bone down into the mat a little bit more, creating a tiny little lift of your belly button so that you've got a little bit more protection for that low back, and we're focusing a little bit more of this movement in the upper back and the shoulders. Go for one more small little swan extension here. And then you can either keep these really small like they are, or you can start making them a little bit bigger on this next one. Maybe your elbows lift up, maybe you work on straightening those arms, and then lower back down. And again, if something doesn't feel good here, think your shoulders or your arm placement feels a little funny, you're welcome to try taking them a little bit wider, maybe a little bit higher, seeing if that feels better. We all have slightly different shapes in all of our joints in our body, right? So we aren't going to all have our bodies positioned exactly the same in the same exercises. Never hesitate to play around with your body position and see what feels comfortable. Let's do one more. Inhaling to lift up just as high as it feels comfortable. And then exhaling to lower all the way back down. All right, push yourself up. You're gonna reach back into a child's pose. You can tuck those toes if your feet are cramping, that'll feel good to stretch them out. Find a rest position here, right? You can stay high with your hips and stack your fists and just let your body rest here. You can let your hips rest towards your heels. Do anything you want with those shoulders and arms. Take a couple more nice deep breaths. And then slowly come back up. All right. So from here, you're going to sit your hips off to the side, reach your legs forward. All right, we're just going to stretch those legs out in front. Prop yourself up on your hands, okay? So you're going to keep your hands behind you a little bit, but also nice and wide, right? We want this to feel like a good opening of the chest and the shoulders, but nothing pinchy, right? So you don't want to be too close together. So keep your hands nice and wide here. And just keep your upper body lifted, right? Think of your sternum, your breastbone lifting up. Keep that nice lift away from the floor, and then you're just going to flex and point your feet. So you've got a good view of what's happening here, right? So watch those feet as you're flexing and pointing. Try to pull all 10 toes in, and then point them away. Nice and parallel, right? Try to pull the big toe in as much as you're pulling in at the pinky and vice versa. Do 2 more of those, keeping those legs nice and straight. And then we're going to go into some circles. So nice, slow, big circles with those feet. And peek at your knees. Can you keep your knees still? Going straight up to the ceiling so that your leg bones aren't moving. Just your feet. Reverse those circles. Keep that breath nice and steady. Good, you guys. One more. And let your feet totally relax. Turn those sides in and out a few times. Let your legs be still. Lift that chest one more time. Take a big inhale. Feel that opening in front of the shoulders. Nice. And then come off those hands. Shake out your wrists a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to come into a little side bend from seated. Okay. So I'm going to sit on top of my pillow. And that's going to give me a little bit of release for my hips and my hamstrings. Okay, so you're welcome to do that. Just kind of perch right at the top edge of that pillow or that towel. And keep your knees gently bent. Okay, feet don't have to be flat on the floor. You can push those thighs out away from you a little bit. Just make sure your heels stay down. You're just going to reach those fingers out to the side. Sit as tall as you can. Take a big inhale as you side bend up and over to the right. You're going to keep that right hand down. Bend the elbow a little bit on that right side to help give you more range of motion. And then you'll stack the spine back up. And you'll inhale, reach up and over to the left. Right? So one hand is supporting you down on the floor. You're bending the elbow a little bit to create more range of motion for the spine. And you're trying to keep that shoulder away from the ear. Right? That's why we're bending the elbow. So you can keep that shoulder down and still get nice side bend here. Good, you guys. Inhale. And exhale. Let's do one more each side. Exhale it back up. Last time, nice big side bend. Very nice. You bring the soles of the feet together. Give your ankles a little pull. Pull yourself forward. Take a big breath. Nice flat back. And then bring those legs back together. And you are all done. Nice work, you guys.